Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Davey. I'm running for re-election for Ward 1 in the City of Kitchener. I'd just like to start by saying thank you to Rogers for this opportunity to speak with you, and thank you for tuning in because, frankly, not enough people are engaged in the municipal level of politics. So thank you for paying attention. Appreciate it. The question, why am I running for council? I don't have very much time to answer, so I could list all the ways that we've been equitably progressive in the City of Kitchener, all the great things we've done. But instead, I would just point out the type of person that I am and what I've achieved a little bit. So I'm a person that always focused on efficiency and working collaboratively with my council colleagues and staff. And to that end, Kitchener is one of the most efficient municipalities around. Our tax increases have been 60% lower than other local municipalities. And we've done so in a way where we still are increasing our services and we've been reducing our debt as well. So I'd hope to continue that. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Simon Guthrie, and I'm running for Kitchener City Council this year for Ward 1. Local government matters. Local government is responsible for things like parks and power and paving and pipes. When these things don't work, it impacts us immediately. It impacts the people that live here. It impacts the people that visit here. We need those things working, and the services that the City of Kitchener provides are essential to us. Community matters. I believe that Kitchener is a network of communities, of faith groups, of nonprofit organizations, of labor groups, and so many others. It's the relationships that we build in these groups and between these groups that make Kitchener the wonderful place to live that we know that it is. Kitchener City Council is at the intersection of the services provided by the city and the communities that are served by the city. I believe that city government matters. That's why I'm running for Kitchener City Council this year.
The key issues I'd like to tackle in my ward, there's two really that I'd like to mention, aside from the general ones that you could see on my website, sdavey.ca. But the first one is really the escalating cost. Inflation's going through the roof, and it's becoming more difficult for you to be able to afford the everyday things you need to make it through the day in life. At the city level, we can't really affect things like inflation, but what we can do is make sure that we keep our costs in check to ensure that the taxes that we pass on to you don't add to your burden. And that's something that we've done for quite a long time. The other issue I would touch upon, really, that I hear when I go door to door is the issue of speeding on side streets. That's really a big issue depending on where you are. And we've taken a lot of measures, reducing our speed limits to 40 kilometers an hour, which is going to take about the next year or so to fully implement and educate. We've also done all sorts of other things that you can see online if you visit my website.
As I walk around Ward 1 and I talk to my neighbors and I talk to the members of our community here, the most common issue that I hear from them is about livable communities. They love this community. They love the neighbors. They love the neighborhoods. They love the older trees that are here. They want to stay. They want this area to continue to provide the services that they need and they use every day. They want to believe that as they age, there will be suitable housing for them at all stages of life. They want to believe that as their children grow up and look for housing, that they will be able to find it in this area because they love this area so much. That is the number one issue that I see amongst my neighbors, is livability. I believe that walkable communities are part of this, that services close by is part of this, that natural areas are part of this. These are all important parts of livable communities.
Yes, thank you for that question. That's a really good one because, as everyone's aware, the City of Kitchener is changing quite dramatically with the development and building that's going on. I've always been a believer that the most intensification should always go near the places that we have transit, which is right now near the ion transit stations. So I've long been pushing for higher intensity in the downtown areas where people can get away without having to own a vehicle, which is a tremendous expense that adds to the bottom line, and they can use those extra funds to hopefully afford the apartments and condos that they have there. So that is the way that we absolutely should be progressing. I do want to be careful that we always retain Kitchener's small town feel while we do grow, but my vision's always been to have a dense urban core with lots of amenities, and then to continue things how they are in terms of our suburbs.
The City of Kitchener has grown fast recently. In the last 10 years, we've grown by almost 10%. We're going to grow even faster in the future. Development targets that the provincial government has suggested for us suggest that we're going to be growing for decades to come, and we need somewhere for folks to live. We can't keep sprawling out in all directions. That's unsustainable, and it's against any mitigation of the climate crisis. We need to focus on more intense and more dense housing initiatives. I think what we need to do, we need to look at transit corridors. Victoria Street is one example. We need to focus on building mid-rise buildings in spaces like those. And if we need to talk about how we tax property in the City of Kitchener or in those areas, that's a conversation that the City of Kitchener, the Council, and the communities need to have.
Thank you. This is probably the thing that we hear most often, and I do struggle with it as a city councillor because, as mentioned, homelessness and affordable housing is almost squarely in the purview of the regional government above me and regional council. But we've actually been helping in tremendous ways. You may have heard of a Better Tent City, which is the small homes that have been moving around. Those have been on city property that we've donated and helped. We've also donated a $2 million parcel of land on Block Line Road to house 41 homes for women that are at risk. We also have in our economic development plan to look forward to adding significant new affordable housing on city lands going forward. While we can't solve this, we really need the regional government and the provincial government to step in. Kitchener, I think, is punching well above its weight in this regard.
Homelessness is everyone's problem. It's not just the region's problem. We are going to need the city, the region, the province, and the federal government all working together in order to find solutions. We'll also need the private sector, and we'll need the nonprofit sector on board in order to move forward in a lasting way. The City of Kitchener can do a number of things, even though it may not have as much power as the region. We can work through bylaws in order to decriminalize poverty. We can work through zoning regulations to situate good housing solutions for all members of our community. Councillors can use their platform to advocate. The City of Kitchener can use its resources for support of the service organizations that support the unsheltered population, organizationally, financially, and through amplification on our own platforms.
Yeah, thank you for the question on experience, and I do, as the incumbent, have an edge in that regard. But I would say that I've been on council for 12 years, and my council colleagues have elected me to oversee the Kitchener's budget for the past 11 budgets. And I think that really speaks a lot to the way that I tend to govern. I work collaboratively with those that I agree with and those that I don't to try and make sure that everyone sort of has their say and moves the city forward in a way that's most importantly affordable, because as I said, we're in very difficult times right now, and I think it's really, really key to have people like me at the table to ensure that we are choosing the options that have the highest value when we do choose to spend.
I bring a lot of experience to Kitchener City Council. I've lived here for 16 years in the ward. I've lived in Waterloo Region for almost 30 years. I've worked in technology. I've been a graduate student at the University of Waterloo. Twice, in fact, once in physics and once in peace and conflict studies. I've been a part of faith communities in Waterloo Region, and I've worked in the nonprofit sector. I lead a nonprofit in downtown Kitchener right now, in fact, called the Community Kitchen Cooperative KW. We support food insecurity and economic development initiatives. My children have grown up in Ward 1. They're progressing through the school system. One's in middle school, one's in high school. I've seen almost all of the education system as well. I've seen the good, and I've seen some of the not so good that we have in our region. I would like to bring all of this experience and the experience that I will gain along the way to Kitchener City Council.